Hi, I'm Stephanie,
Hi, I'm Sarah.
and this is
Steph and Sarah Unfiltered. If you subscribe, we can afford a real studio.
Yeah.
So you would not have to see this back here.
Yeah, please ignore that for I think next upcoming videos as well. We'll probably have that there.
Yeah.
But that's just the AC unit because it's hot in here.
It's summertime.
Right? Please subscribe. We buy a studio. We rent one.
We'll buy a proper AC.
Yes.
So today we're going to talk about a more serious topic.
Yes.
We're going to go into what it's like just to struggle being a woman in this world.
Yes. And all the problems that we have to face throughout our lives.
Every day, every second.
So please stay with us. I know it's a little more serious today, but I think it's something that we all have to talk about, all have to discuss. And certain people need to listen to, because maybe certain people don't understand, like, what they can do to a female that can actually, like, traumatize her.
Or affect her in some way. And definitely with what's going on now with women's rights and everything that's happening in the world. So we definitely
with the pro-choice, pro-life.
Exactly.
That's a big topic.
Yeah.
That we would like to get into as well.
Yeah. I feel like it's important for people who have podcasts or YouTube channels or they're influencers, or I'm not saying I'm an influencer. We're not influencers. We're not there yet.
Not yet.
But
please subscribe, and we will be.
We will be. But I feel like it's so important for them to use their platform to really, talk about these things and highlight these things, because it just needs to be talked about.
Yeah, like an everyday thing I feel for females is just looking out for danger. And unfortunately, I'm not saying all danger comes from just men, but the majority of the things that we go through is because of a man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, we've had our experiences as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of females who've gone through some things because of a man. And it's just not right. We gotta push forward and, like, not allow this to happen anymore.
Yeah, I think it's important to also educate for like our men who are listening right now, to educate them and, like, give them a little insight on, like, what we feel every day, even if they have some sort of, like, knowledge of it, or if they have girlfriends or moms or sisters or cousins, whatever it is. I'm sure they have heard stories, and you see things on the news all the time, but I feel like it's just important to, like, listen to our side, like, to what we have to say, and like I said, the insight of us. Okay, what's the earliest you can remember that you've had to experience sexual harassment from a man? Like, what is the earliest experience that you ever encountered?
The earliest that I can think of, I mean, unfortunately for me, I haven't had too much, like, childhood trauma, or, like, I haven't experienced that younger. But I can say once I started reaching, like, I would say, like, high school to college, I just always felt uncomfortable, like, when there's just men around. Like, if I'm walking alone down the street and there's a group of men, I try to avoid it as much as possible, because then we get the cat calling, and then they're all just looking and talking to me, and I just feel uncomfortable. I know, like, a more serious situation would be, like, when I was in college, there was just, you have college parties, and a lot of, like, the alcohol that was served might have had, like, stuff in it that would, like, knock us out or something. Thankfully, I was never alone again. Like, I had good people around me that I trusted. But I seen a lot of that in my college, and have heard a lot of stories from close friends of them just getting, like, roofied and ending up somewhere where they didn't remember going to, and ending up somewhere they didn't even know. Right. Or, like, the person that they didn't even want to be with. Like, that, and it happens so often, too. So that's, like, something that I feel like started affecting me a little more. But how about you? You have any early memories?
Well, I think college campuses, that happens a lot on there, and they're very underreported. or you hear of cases, but you don't. There's so many more
Yeah.
cases, and it's always usually from somebody you know, from a friend, from a friend's
Which
friend,
is something people don't talk about too much.
Yeah.
Like, you would expect maybe
a
you
stranger.
hear stories about a stranger taking this woman, they didn't even know each other, never met before, and he does these horrible things to her. But in reality, it's people that are close to you and that you know, people that you might even trust at some point in your life, and they do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, college is like, it happens a lot more than what is actually talked about.
And I think
anywhere.
it's because that's the time when you start, like, again, partying and drinking, and you're usually, you're away from your family, so it makes you more vulnerable in a way, because you can't go back. You're not going back home. You're not going to your mom and your dad saying, hey, like, this happened to me. You almost can't do that. So you have to, a lot of people just kind of deal with it internally and don't go out and tell their families or their friends, especially if it's from someone they know.
Exactly.
But I have a lot of stories. Not a lot, but in terms of sexual harassment, like, the earliest I remember was when I was in, I think it was a 5th grade dance, and I can tell you what I was wearing. So I was wearing this white flower dress, and it was like a strappy dress, but it wasn't like it wasn't fit to my body. It was like flowy, but it was also kind of short, so I didn't want to just wear it like that. So what I did was I wore these really neon pink tights under, but they weren't all the way to the ankle. They were like to the knee.
Yeah.
And then I had these platforms on. They were like summer platforms. At that time, because I was only in 5th grade, I wasn't going to wear heels, so I wore something that was easy to walk in. And so we had this party, little dance party for the end of the year. It is 5th grade, and I had such a good time. Like, so it was so much fun. And I didn't live too far from my school, so it was about, like, probably less than 10 minutes of a walk, and maybe like 4 long blocks.
Yeah.
So I usually always walked home from school, and I was still young. I was 4th grade, 5th grade, walking home from school, but there was nothing to it, because I was like, I live right there.
Yeah.
And I was walking on, like, the main street, and this truck passed by, and I remember the truck. It was a gray truck. These men were in it. I don't know, maybe 3-4 men. I think I don't remember, like, if they were Hispanic, white. But they were men. That I remember that much. And I'm walking by myself. There's other kids that just got out at the same time, because the party just ended. So some are with their parents, some are with a group of friends.
Yeah.
But I was just walking by myself, and I knew the cross guards and everything, so I felt safe.
Yeah.
And I was walking, and they kind of slowed down, and they were kind of at a red light, and they started catcalling me. And I'm like, how old are you in 5th grade? You're 10.
Like 10.
So I didn't understand at all, and I was just but I knew it was wrong. I didn't understand.
So it's grown ass men calling a 9-10-year-old.
Right.
Okay.
And I wasn't, even if I was in something
older.
Right, it was just
right.
It wasn't right, and I knew that, but I didn't understand it at the same time. I just felt like it was wrong, and I felt wrong, and I felt upset and sad. And so what I did was I cried all the way home. And my friend, I knew this girl. She lived, like, close to me. She was with her mom.
Yeah.
And I guess they kind of saw what happened, and they saw how I reacted to it. And after I had crossed, like, a main street and I was almost home, they kind of came up behind me, and they were like, hey, are you okay? And we'll walk you home. We'll finish walking you home. And that's what they did. And even when I got home, I cried. And, like, my mom had been working, but my grandma especially, I was always with her after school, but she didn't understand what happened, and I didn't know how to explain that in Spanish, because she speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to explain that, but I just kind of shut down, and I just, like, went to her room, and I think I slept until my mom got home. And I don't really remember if I ever told my mom, but that was the earliest I can remember of that happening. And it's just,
which is horrible.
yeah, it's really just disgusting
So
to
that's
think
how it
about.
starts, like with the catcalling. Like we all experience it, I feel, at some
Mhm.
point in our lives, and it's just ridiculous. And also, like you were saying, you were describing everything that you were wearing, and
Mhm.
it's like we should be allowed to wear whatever we want, and you
Mhm.
know, do whatever we want, and that shouldn't be an invitation for men to like start talking to us or do anything. Like we
Right.
should be free to wear whatever we want,
Mhm.
and just feel safe to wear
Yeah.
that.
And especially being that age, and it's
So
so,
young and dealing with that, like
it's
it's
just
ridiculous.
so like disgusting
Yeah.
to think about. Like, you're
And we
hitting
hope
on
that
a
whenever
minor.
we have kids too, like we don't,
Yeah.
they don't have to deal with that.
Right. And
I
but
don't want
that's
to
the
have daughters
sad.
and have to explain to them that.
Yeah. It's even worse to experience that as a kid because you don't understand any of that. You don't
Yeah.
understand sexual harassment or the behavior of men. And at the same time, why are men looking at these little children in such a like sexualizing children?
Yeah, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when you start young, you're still learning right from wrong.
Mhm.
So you might not necessarily like process, like for example, like that for
Mhm.
some other kid. Obviously, you knew it was wrong, but you were
Mhm.
and you were uncomfortable and everything.
Yeah.
But some other kids might not realize what like sexual harassment is,
Mhm.
and that's what we want, you know, to bring light to as well. Like you're still learning right from wrong when you're a kid,
Mhm.
and you might not realize what was wrong until years later. It's like
Yeah.
maybe a family member of yours
Did
got a little
things.
too close,
Yeah.
got a little too intimate with you, and you're like, oh, they're family, you know, like
Right. So at that
this
age,
is
you don't even
fine.
see it as
Yeah.
something that is wrong. Well, you know it's uncomfortable, but you feel like you can't really talk about it or say anything because you're like, well, this is my
yeah, and
family.
it's like your word against the
Theirs.
adults.
Yeah.
And that's just not okay anymore at all.
Mm-mm. And then I think another time was after that. I mean, it's like you said, going into high school. Especially, I went to an all-girls school, so I wore I wore a uniform, which was a skirt and like a uniform shirt, collar shirt, and I never. Oh, the girls in my school would shorten them, but I was very. I don't know. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I just kind of kept it really long, which I looked funny because I'm so short, but that's what I did. And I also think it was because I had to commute very long to school. I went to school from Queens to Manhattan. That was a whole hour and 10 minute commute. So I think I didn't feel comfortable doing that, wearing my skirt shorter
Yeah.
because I knew that I was getting on the train. A man could just like easily like take a picture, or they could like see under there, or if I'm going up the stairs from the train, they can definitely see. Or so I was very self-conscious about that because I was scared, because I was like, I don't want that kind of attention. Not that I'm saying the girls at my school were looking for attention. No, they
Again, we wear whatever we want
right.
to wear.
You can wear whatever you want. It's just I think I was so aware at that point of men being like a predatory species that I was like, yeah, I don't want to make it worse, which is a sad thing, because why should it have to be that way? Why should I have to work so hard for me not to be sexually harassed or sexually assaulted in any way? Why do I have to work so hard? Me, the 15-year-old girl going to school, versus you, the grown man, going to work.
Which is something we were just talking about teaching men not to lead to those habits.
Right.
Instead of, like, what they're teaching now is females shouldn't wear this or that, or how they should protect themselves.
Yeah, like you should carry mace, or you should carry
like we are the ones who have to
weapon.
carry stuff to protect ourselves. That's what we're taught. Why are we not teaching men to stop freaking like harassing us and
or
being so crazy?
Yeah, they definitely participate in that. I think all men are not all men, but
not all men.
99 point no okay, but okay, so most men participate in that rape culture, and it's not like some people might think, oh, well, no, I've never thought about raping a girl. I've never thought about touching a girl inappropriately without her consent.
Yeah.
But have you, catcalled a woman? Have you been in a group of friends and made a sexist joke? Have you talked about, you
Have you
talk
ever
about,
been a little too aggressive?
right, you talk about women as if we're not human, if we're not people. We're just
Yeah.
like these
Like we don't have
sexual
feelings.
beings, these sexual objects that you can
Like we're
manipulate.
here to serve the men.
Right.
And that's not how it goes.
Yeah, so I think you're still participating as a man. You're talking about a woman or catcalling her, or saying, "Damn, like she got a good ass or a fine ass, whatever, big tits, whatever it is."
Mhm.
You are participating in that culture. You are participating in rape culture. Because that's just like baby steps towards it.
Yeah, it always leads up to it.
Right. And we're not, and I'm not trying to say, yeah, you say that and that's going to lead you to rape a woman, but you it's kind of like an okay. You're doing it around other men do it to other men, and it's kind of like this big domino effect. And
Mhm.
and some men will take it to the next step, will continue, and to them, they won't see it as, oh, I raped a girl. Like, no, she was asking for it. Like,
Yeah.
she wanted me. And that's how that happens. And then, so they don't see it as, oh, I committed a crime. I didn't. I just wanted to have sex with her, so I did.
The
Because they
saddest
feel-
thing too is that there's a lot of men who get away with it,
Mhm.
especially men with the higher power. If they have money, if they have just people they know,
If they're
who
white.
are- yeah, if we're gonna talk about that, we got the white privileged men who take
White,
advantage
rich, privileged men.
of a lot of females, and they get away with it because they have the money. Again, they have the power. They know all the right people. They know everything they need to do to avoid having something like publicized on something that they did that was wrong. And it's just ridiculous at this
Yeah.
point. And thank God for the internet, because everybody gets exposed now, thankfully. But there's still a lot of things that aren't shown.
Yeah.
For sure, there's things we're learning about the white privileged men, but there's still things that are hidden for sure.
Yeah, and I've even heard crazy articles of people, and this is just to show you how the justice system lets down a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I saw this article where this guy even admitted to raping women, and he was like given a slap on the wrist, and he was given like, okay, well, you did this time, but you're good to go.
Yeah.
So you just let someone
Like a
who
warning.
told you, I did this, I should be in jail. You let him go. You let him walk the street. Now he's just going to keep doing it. You gave him a pass. And that, I feel like that happens a lot too, with this overall thing about, right, you just come, we give this whole thing of pass. And it's
something that I watched recently, like I watch a lot of documentaries, a lot of like serial killer documentaries and murders and stuff. And every time, in most of the ones that I've seen or heard the stories of, there's always a white male who does something wrong, gets caught for it, and then gets like let go, like
Right.
nothing happens to him. And then that same man ends up doing a million other different things, like killing females or like raping them. And it's like, again, because it's just like the privileged mindset on certain males, and it has to come to a point of like no more. And I hope that the next generation females feel a little safer walking the streets alone. And like personally now, I could never go home like after a certain time. Like once it's dark, like I don't feel comfortable enough to go home like ever. I have to like call a cab, or like I'll go with you or something, we'll drive.
Yeah.
But it's like we'll never, I want to get to that point of feeling comfortable enough to like be able to walk alone at home.
To
but
walk home,
to go home
at night,
Yeah.
to go out to bars,
Yeah.
to wear whatever the hell you want without being, again, sexually harassed.
Yep.
And I think another thing is, again, when we were talking about, well, I think it's also like men have this, and it's also because of the society, they have this idea of they are the superior gender.
Yeah.
because, and I don't know if it's because they feel, well, a lot, they're born into it. They're born into that society of, well, you have to be a man, and then you compete against other men. So that's the mindset they have. I
Yeah.
have to be
They gotta
this
be like the
man.
big macho man, and
Yeah.
like they're the ones who rule the house, control the rules. They're the
Mhm.
ones who bring home the money. They're the ones who like take care of the family, and it's shouldn't be like that anymore. Like females are more than capable enough to do all that stuff too.
Mhm.
Females are just as strong
Exactly. And
in all ways.
yes.
Even stronger actually, because we're the ones who give birth.
yes.
We're the ones who bring life to the world and then have to deal with like our own physical traumas and stuff.
Mhm.
So
And yeah, as women, we definitely go through way more than men do in this world.
getting our periods
Mm-hmm.
like every month,
Like you said, giving birth,
giving
going
birth,
through pregnancy,
all that
all
stuff
of that.
is just hard. Like, don't come to me saying like, why am I feeling a certain way if I'm on PMS, whatever. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I am, so what? Like,
And I
let it
think-
be.
I think now it's just time that we start educating men better.
Yes.
Because for a long time I hated men, and I hate the word hate.
Yes.
But I hated men because I was so afraid of them. Like like you said, if you're in the street and you see a group of men, you're gonna move away from them.
Yeah.
Because I'm so scared of men. That's like really the only fear I have. And
Honestly, right? Like,
Mhm.
people come to me like, yeah, I'm afraid of crocodiles and
Snakes,
sharks, whatever. Like, please,
rats.
what you really need to be afraid of is people. Because there's also
Yeah.
people who carry guns and people who carry
Weapons.
knives and just people who are mentally not well and attack and do
Mhm.
crazy things.
People are scary.
People are the scariest things on this earth, period. If there's aliens out there, they're not doing nothing crazy. Not that the government would tell us. But
Yeah, so for a long time I was very much I guess you can say like anti-men. I don't
Yeah.
like men. And so I say like my thing was always like, oh, 99% of men are in that all same category. And there's only
Yeah.
that rare 1%. But recently I've really started to learn that we have to have more compassion for men and more things that are available to us, like women, need to be available to men as well, because they do struggle, but because again they're in a society where they're pressured to be a certain man,
yeah.
they have to deal with a lot of things alone, or they have to toughen up and be like, I gotta hold it all in because I'm a man and I can't be vulnerable.
And
I
that
can't
could backfire easy.
yeah, and they feel like they can't share their emotions. And again, if that's this patriarchal thing,
Yeah.
it's just messing with their heads. So I feel like as women, we just have to be there to be able to tell them like it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to tell us how you feel. Like it's okay not
Always.
to have to
If
live
you want
up.
to cry,
Yeah.
real men cry.
Yes.
Period. That's something that a lot of men like don't like to show, or like, oh, they're like, oh, I never cry. It's like, what's wrong with crying?
Yeah. Because
Honestly.
it's seen as such a woman thing to
and
do.
you're seen as weak, which is
Weak.
not weak
No.
at all either.
No,
I've
it's the
learned that
opposite.
through the years
Mhm.
because I've always been looked at like so emotional and so weak for always crying.
Yeah.
It's like I'm very passionate about certain things and I get angry or I get really upset and I want to cry. And
It's just
it's
human.
just what it is.
Like,
Exactly.
That is your human thing. You have human emotions.
Exactly. You
And
can't
that's such a
control
big
them.
thing.
It doesn't
Mhm.
make you any weaker than anybody else.
No.
And there's certain men who, instead of like letting out some tears, they'll throw some fists.
Yeah.
Like they want to
Anger.
get violent. They get angry, and it's like
right. They can't. They feel like they can't. They bottle up so much emotion that it just turns into anger.
yeah,
And
that
that
doesn't help.
honestly, that can affect. That kind of comes into tied with rejection when men
Yeah.
get rejected, and the next thing is like, well, she rejected me. I'm angry, so I'm gonna do something about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's when they target women or target the woman that just rejected them. Like, I've heard so many stories. One girl rejected this guy and he followed her into the parking lot, killed her in her own car, left her there, and that was that. And like, all because she said she was
no.
not interested. So even with that, we have
Yeah.
to be careful how we talk about, how we tell a man that we're not interested.
Yeah, there was a recent video about something
Mhm.
like that actually, where it was like a group of females in a table, I believe, and
Mhm.
some guy was like hitting on them, and the women were like straight up like, no, they're not interested,
Mhm.
whatever. They might have been a little more harsh or a little rude about it,
Mhm.
but regardless, like they said no, and
Yeah.
he didn't take it easily, so he popped out his gun and started shooting.
Right.
Like what? That's something that needs to stop.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
I think there's a big connection between men and well, I mean, men and violence, like that, like we said, like it's like their anger immediately turns into violence. Like,
Yeah.
well, you rejected me, I'm gonna kill you now,
Yeah.
because I'm mad. And
Yeah.
it's like, that is not a solution. That's not the way to go. That's not. You can handle this better.
Yeah.
Like, men need to do better. Like, if you're angry, there are so many different outlets. And again, like I said, it goes back to, like, I think they just need to be told that. They need to be told, there's an outlet for this.
Yeah.
I can help you. Like, we can help you. The world can help you.
Yeah.
But you just have to let us help you. Like, you
Exactly.
cannot stop listening to this whole patriarchal society of, well, I need to be this type of person or this type of man. Because, again, you're going to keep going by that. You're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to continue to be that man that everybody else sees.
Exactly.
A violent man that we're scared of.
A
And
lot of
because
females.
even your everyday, it could be your everyday friends or your brothers or your cousins, and if you tell them something, they can get defensive again because they don't want to be compared to a rapist or any of that.
Yeah.
But the truth is, which is, well, I'm going to go into this also, being an active bystander, which is or the bystander approach, which is I learned from this guy named Jackson Katz, I think his name is. But he talks a lot about men and like what they do to women and just the society in general. So, yes, the bystander approach is basically you're not the victim and you're also not the perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the person in the middle. You
Right.
are the friend. You are the mother. You are the classmate. You are the colleague. You're the worker. And
Mm-hmm.
you're
someone close.
someone
to
close,
them.
but you're not involved intimately into the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the bystander approach is, well, let's say I'm going to, again, use the example as men being with your friends. You're a guy, you're hanging out with your friends, the dudes, and you guys are at a bar, at a game, or whatever. So, and there's no women around, but you're talking about women,
Mm-hmm.
and one of your friends says, like, again, a sexist joke, or they say something about a woman that just it's wrong, so that as the bystander approach is, as the person, as the friend, you kind of have to be accountable and tell your friend, hey,
Like that's not cool.
or make them accountable for what they just did. Hey, like, what you said is not cool, like that's messed up.
Yeah.
That could be your sister, or that could be your girlfriend or your friend.
If we
or
had
your
more
wife.
men like that, we would have
Exactly.
a better society. Period.
Yeah, and I think people like, well, because I listen to a lot of like podcasts, not a lot, but I listen to one that I love, and it's from a man's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but he talks about masculinity and all that. So again, like Jackson Katz, or like the other podcast that I listen to is called Man Enough. They talk about that, how that you need to be more involved. Like, well, they talk about that stuff, and I think it's better when it comes from a man.
Yeah.
Like, men listen to men,
right.
again, because of the whole competition thing,
Yeah.
and because men are seen as leaders.
Yeah.
But if we start talking about that stuff, women start talking about men issues and what they need to
Which
work
we
on,
are doing now.
which we're doing now.
Yeah.
Like, somebody listening to the podcast, if it was a man who's like this man, would be like, well, I'm not listening to this. She's just going to ramble on about how we're the worst.
Yeah.
But if it's a man talking about men having an issue,
Yeah.
then they might be like,
They think,
okay,
"Oh,
maybe
yeah."
he's getting somewhere. Maybe
Yeah.
I should hear him out. Let me see what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's another important thing. Like, if you're a man who, of course, supports women, wants to keep supporting women, you have somebody that you're supporting, you have to be able to support them in every way.
Yep.
And support other people, other women.
Exactly.
So you want to keep other people in your life, other men in your life informed about that. You want to, kind of like pass it on, do the domino
Yeah.
effect.
Like
Tell-
have a father teach a son.
Yeah.
And then the son could bring it to their friends, or like
Exactly.
if they didn't get taught that stuff, like keep it going. Keep
Mhm.
it shown that we're all equal. We're all
Mhm.
trying to be equal. There's nobody who's more superior than the others.
Mhm.
But just give females more value than like what men think you
Yeah.
know that their value is.
Which is all women are trying to work to, is being
Yeah.
equal, is being the same.
Most of us are not in those like 1900s where the female has to be home with the kids and the husband goes to work
Mhm.
every day and does whatever the hell he wants, and the woman's job is just to take care of the kids. Like, no, we're not in that like life anymore.
Mm.
There could be men who stay home with the kids and the female goes to work. Like,
Mm.
it has to just be equal, whatever everyone's comfortable with. Like, I know for a fact I'm one of those females who will never rely on a man. Like, I could be with someone forever and love them and everything, but I'm never gonna rely on him to pay my bills, on him to buy me this, to take care of me here, there, everywhere. Like, it's
Yeah.
not. I'm too independent for that. That's not
Yeah.
happening.
Which brings me to this term called benevolent sexism, which I also learned
Yep.
through watching the podcast I mentioned. And what that is like, women do gender roles. So
Yep.
women are supposed to do the housework, laundry, cooking, taking care of the kids.
Supposed to.
Right. Men are supposed to be the breadwinners, open the door for women, stand on the side that's the street, like on the side of the
Yeah.
cars, and that's seen as positive in the society. So that's considered benevolent sexism
Yeah.
versus hostile sexism, which is the complete opposite. So we have women, again, like you said, who are not doing the what they're assigned
supposed to.
what they're
Quote
supposed to.
unquote.
Right.
If you're listening.
Yes.
Quote unquote supposed to.
Yeah. So they're doing the opposite. What men are considered to be doing, now women are doing it. And
Yeah.
what women are supposed to be doing, now men are doing it. Like,
Yeah.
men are at home now, and they're the ones taking care of their kids and doing the housework and all that stuff. So we have a lot of that, of where people see it as you're supposed to stick to your gender role. You're supposed to be the man of the house. But that's not the world we live in anymore.
No, it shouldn't be like that. And
Mm.
hopefully it gets better as, we continue. Like, I want to be able to see, like, my son crying, my daughter playing basketball, like, whenever I have kids, like break down those like barriers for each
Yeah.
gender, like just as long as you're happy and stuff and don't get violent, understand and respect other people, no matter what gender it is. Honestly, like, there's so much more that we have to learn about each other, and hopefully we see a better world.
Yeah. And hopefully men start to value women more, because I feel women bring so much to this world.
Yeah, and like, why did we just
First of all,
now-
we bring men into this world.
facts
We brought you into this world.
Facts.
And this is how we're treated.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then it's like, why did we take so long to have like the first female vice president? Like, where's the female president? That's what
'Cause
I'm
we're-
looking for next.
Because we're not seen as leaders. We can't be leaders.
Yeah, because we're too emotional.
Yeah.
And we can't control our feelings. Women are crazy. You know what makes us crazy? The men.
Right.
The
men.
men.
Men make us crazy.
They're the ones who actually
Like,
are
look what
making
we're
us crazy.
fighting for right now. We are fighting for
Our own choices.
exactly our own body choices. That's what
Yeah,
we're
a
fighting
man is telling us what we females need to do with our bodies, and it's fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
straight up
for. Completely.
not okay. Like, if you are like taking away those privileges, or not privileges,
Those
choices.
Right. Choices. Rights.
Choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, how could we live in a world like that? Like, why is it the men gets all these choices and then they could
Mhm.
do whatever they want to do? Which then their whatever actions they take somehow affect the female. Like, that's why this pro-choice, pro-life situation is going on.
Yeah.
Because it's a man who could have raped this woman, and now the woman is forced to have his child. And
Because of the laws.
that's just one part of it.
Yeah.
That's just one part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not okay anymore.
No. Because men could easily, if they wanted, they can get a vasectomy, for
Exactly.
example.
There's
If they wanted, because they have that choice.
They have that choice.
But if we
and
did
it's
that...
not a permanent one, because they can
Right.
always, do it again or take it back.
But even men they don't even go down that road either, because it's so wrong.
Yeah.
If they get a vasectomy, it's like their life is over. Their whole sexual being is over.
Yeah,
because
but
they
then when
can't.
a female has to give birth to a kid and then have that kid grow and take care of that kid and all that stuff.
Mhm.
If they're not financially ready, mentally ready, physically ready,
Mhm.
they should not be told they need to have a kid.
And
Like,
also,
it's
there's
not
women out
their
there
fault.
who don't necessarily make that choice, but have to actually go through that because they need it medically. Like, they can have an emergency that can potentially put their life at risk,
Exactly.
that they'll have to go to the hospital to get a medical abortion because they have to. That's going to save their life. And here we are, well, not here we are, but here men are in our government taking that away. So now, if you think about it, more women are probably going to be dying now because they don't have that choice. Or they're going to go somewhere that's not safe or somewhere illegal. And then that's another thing. If you participate in this illegal abortion, whoever you're with is going to be compliant too. Like,
yeah.
they're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. The people who are doing it are going to be in trouble. So now you're just putting people in jail now because of this law you made. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. It's the men who have little minds,
Yes.
no fucking soul.
And they say,
just
it's
wanna
funny because
take
they
all
say we're
privilege.
emotional, but it's them. They're emotional.
They are emotional.
Yeah.
It's just their emotions are shown differently.
Mm-hmm.
And again, hidden if they're powerful.
Yeah.
They get the money and everything.
Mm-hmm. But they're up there. That's why they have that. They feel entitled to it because they're so up there in power. They're like, well, I can do this. I can make these laws because I'm up here. You're down there, and you're not. You can't do anything about it.
It's just insane.
We're gonna keep doing that.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with a special guest.
yes, when we come back, we will have my first sister.
First sister.
My first sister, because I have a lot. Well, actually, I have two, but
That's another
the oldest out of the two will be joining us to continue this discussion.
All right, and we're back with our special guest.
Yeah.
You want to
Hello.
introduce yourself?
I'm Sam. I'm her younger but not youngest sister.
Yeah. Her first sibling.
Yes.
My first ever sibling.
She's going to join us to keep talking about the female empowerment.
Yes.
Girl
And
power.
What being a woman in this world is like.
Yeah, and do you want
Yeah.
to start off by telling us a little bit
Yeah.
about maybe if you've had an experience?
Your fair share of experiences, and also like, yeah, your take on this whole discussion.
How you were talking about how you were catcalled when you were a kid and how different things happened to you, especially at clubs and bars and stuff like that. Definitely because I'm younger and, would I say different generation?
Technically, I think you
You're
are the
same
next generation.
but
They're the older
Is she
side.
is she in the same generation?
I think so.
we're Gen Z.
Now we're gonna have to look that up
Gen
to
Z.
clarify.
Gen Z, right? Gen Z.
I don't know, but I haven't, especially where I grew up as I got older, because I moved away from here and I moved
From
to
New
more of a
York.
suburban area.
To Florida.
So I honestly feel like my experiences were more online, and it was more of guys over sexualizing a lot of things that I did and a lot of things that I wore. And even just like me in general, I didn't really understand what was going on at first, but then after a while I obviously like caught on and I was just like,
That's another thing, cyberbullying.
Yeah.
That's something else.
And not to like cut your discussion off, just mention how old you are as well.
Oh, I'm 16, about to be 17. So yeah, all this stuff started happening when I was around, I'm gonna say like 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff I started to notice. So yeah.
All right. It's confirmed from our cameraman we are in the same generation.
Yes. I think, what's the cutoff for like Gen Z? Is it like 2008? 10?
I think it's 97. Yeah.
No, that's the start.
Oh, start.
The start.
Oh, that's when we were born.
Damn.
How old are we, man? Shit.
Yeah, and just stuff like that. And like what I said before about like what people wear, I definitely think that like it's just like women are expected so much when it comes to getting ready for the day or going
Yep.
out certain places. Like I think we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how we're supposed to look before we leave the house. Like to go shopping, just to go to the grocery store and all that stuff.
So like there's even some people that like I'll see like walking around Walmart with like a full face of makeup on and like a little tiny little shirt and like some sweatpants or leggings or whatever, and it's like, yeah, okay, but like why? And everyone says, you know, maybe she just feels more confident, or maybe that's just what she likes, and maybe that's what she likes to do, and she likes when she looks like that. Yes, but I feel like some of those women, from especially when they were a young age, they feel like that's what they've been needing to do. So as they get older,
That's when they were told
Yeah.
that they're supposed to look like.
so like as they get older, they're just programmed to think that way.
Yeah.
And as I said before, we started like recording and everything. I definitely think plus size women especially struggle a lot when it comes to getting ready to go out, and they don't feel comfortable with themselves and the way they dress. Like, for example, a woman who's a size, will say like 2 or whatever, they can go out in a little white tank top with no bra underneath and some shorts or some sweatpants and flip-flops, and they can go to the store and get whatever they need to get, and you know, nobody will bat an eye, or there might be even some like gross guys like you guys were talking about before
Yeah, there's
who
definitely
might-
some gross guys out there.
who might actually bat an eye. But if a plus size woman were to go to the store dressed in the exact same thing, everybody would be like, oh, like she looks disgusting, why would she leave her house like that, and blah 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 blah, XYZ.
Yeah.
So that just ties into people not feeling comfortable in public.
And what they're wearing
Yeah.
and everything.
Women.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
silence. I was like, wait, what else are we talking
So you mentioned that like you experience a lot of it like online, and do you feel like being online, like especially you know, kids your age that's basically what you guys are always on. Do you feel like you have more society pressure, especially being again a woman in this world? Do you feel like you see it more online, or do you see it more in person? And if you can go into more like, again, the online version of it, like what happens online and what's expected from you online, etc.
Well, I definitely think that social media has been very, I don't know how to say it, it's shaped society in a way. In the past, I'm going to say like 10 years.
Yep.
When we were little, like our mom would not let us watch any kind of YouTube videos. She wouldn't let us watch YouTube. She wouldn't let us watch music videos. Of course, like my aunt sometimes would like sneak like, oh, look at this
Video.
new like J-Lo video. And we'd be like, okay. But like my mother always believed she didn't want us to think we had to look like those women in the music videos. And I think now, especially with like little kids who, like I see a lot of little kids who have like iPads, and like while they're eating at like a restaurant, I'll see them like watching YouTube videos.
Yeah, some people are like, some kids specifically, like with the next generation, they're like glued on to their like devices. Like they just get phones, or like get 5 years old iPhones, then they get the iPads, the laptops, and all that stuff, and they get sucked into like what society, you know, expects from females. or like how we're supposed to look or whatever. And nobody's supposed to look any certain way. Like everybody just, as long as they're happy and comfortable, honestly, that's what matters. But yeah, with social media, they really take that away from kids. They don't. They shape us to have to look like J-Lo, and like, no, I wish I did, but I don't, and I won't ever, and that's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like kids feel a lot of pressure to look like those things, especially if they post a TikTok in their like sweatpants or pajama pants or whatever, and they're just having fun dancing with their friends at a sleepover, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then people in the comments, oh, why are you dressed like that? Like, why do you look like that? Your hair's all a mess, and blah, blah, blah. It's like they felt comfortable to record. They were just having fun, and they just wanted to post something.
Yeah.
And there's even, like, the people who record, like, oh, get ready with me for this, blah, blah, blah. Half the time, it's like kids watch that, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to try this. And they go try it, and then they just get shot down by, like, society, because they're like, no, you don't look like this person still, even though you're doing this and you're doing that, you still look wrong.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that that's something that ruins the self-esteem of a lot of little girls. Like, they see all these people getting ready, and then when they try it, they're like, I don't look like that, like, why don't I look like that? Like, somebody help me, please, I don't understand what's wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with them, and they just feel like there is, because people online are so mean.
Yeah.
And they're just so judgmental, and I just, like, me personally, I stay off Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I hurt my own feelings sometimes. I'm like, wow.
I feel that.
Wow, they look
Yeah.
they look nice. Let's just go back to, let's just go back to Netflix. I'm done with this. I can't.
Yeah. I still don't even have TikTok, but I'm gonna get it soon, because again, like, social media has been so toxic for me, like in the last couple years, that I definitely try to avoid it. But I do think social media also has its pros, for sure. But we'll talk about that in another episode. We'll definitely keep the female empowerment going here.
I also think, like, again, with, like, being on social media, especially at such a young age, it gives, I guess, a more chance for these kids to be, girls to be sexualized. So they feel like they have to grow up so fast. They have to, like, I have my 10-year-old sister, and she showed me videos from her classmates, or like or people she knows that are 10, 11 years old, and they're on TikTok doing these, like, provocative dances, and they're like, have belly shirts on, or they're trying to look sexy, and it's like, you're only 10
You're
years
so
old,
young,
you're 11,
like,
you don't have to do that. But I feel like maybe they feel they have to do that because that's what's gonna give them that attention, or they want
popularity.
this popularity, or they want to be like a star on TikTok, so they feel, well, if I do this, then I'll definitely get a lot of views, or I'll get a lot of likes and comments, and a lot of people, like, following me, so they'll definitely see that. And again, that's the pressure to be a certain way in, like, as a woman. And that starts, like, from the moment you start walking.
Something I want to talk about too is, again, with the social media, like, I don't know if you guys have gotten this, like, but on Instagram, like, I get random, like, follows from these men who want to be, like, my sugar daddies. And they're like, I'm looking for a sugar baby. And I get a lot of them. And mind you, I don't ever post on social media, period. Like, I mean, like, I'm going to post more soon, but in the time, like, I barely posted anything, and they just see my profile picture, and they're like, hey, I want you to be my sugar baby, like. And that's something that should not even happen. Like, that's just gross. They're like, oh, all you have to do is talk to me or something. It's like, no, there's more to it. Like, let's get real here. That's a trap right there. But yeah, I always have to, like, block them so fast, because it's just, like, disgusting that people even, like, come to you and ask you for that stuff.
Yeah, our cameraman was just kind of telling us a story about he knew a girl who was 16, and she had a sugar daddy on Instagram, and he would send her like $200 just to talk to him.
And although that might be the case at first, I know for a fact that it's gonna end up leading to more. and hopefully she's not willing to give up more, because it's a trap. It's like, don't fall for it. Money is not everything, people. But that's another podcast. That's
Yeah.
another episode. That's another episode.
Yeah, I actually, like, I know a few people. Some of them are guys, and they're like, oh, like, I have a sugar mama, and she sends me $400, $500, blah, blah, blah. They, like, post it, and all their friends are like, oh, yeah, that's, like, super cool, dude, whatever, whatever. And I actually know this girl who, like, does that stuff, and I'm like, one day you're just gonna... I just feel so bad because they're being exploited.
Yeah.
And one day they're just gonna snap and realize, and it's honestly,
Not
I feel
okay.
like certain people, like, I think me personally, if I was in that situation and I finally like snapped and realized, I would lose just self-respect, and
Yeah.
that's like not good. That's really not good.
No. At the end of the day, all you got is that, like how you think of yourself. Like, everyone could judge you and whatever, but you really have to be okay with who you are. Like, are you okay with, like, talking to someone you don't even know for money? Or even doing more than that for money? Like,
And that's not to say, like, as a woman, you shouldn't be, be sexy or sexual or
Yep.
whatever. You can still have that, of course. But, if,
Yep.
Starting at that age, not that you're innocent, obviously, time, I mean, kids now are moving fast.
so fast.
But it's just, like, you are still so young, and that's such a big decision, and that's so, like, it has so many consequences. And I feel like when you're older, like if you're 25 like we are, I feel like it's different, like that, because we know what choices we're making. We're like, okay, we know we're about to do this, we know what we're getting ourselves into, and so we're prepared for that.
And we're still learning
And we
a lot
totally-
of things. We're still learning a lot,
And we totally support, like, girls out there doing what they want to do, of course, with themselves. That's of course all them. And I totally
as long
support
as you're
that.
doing it for yourself and not for
Yeah,
someone
not for
else.
anybody else. You're completely comfortable, and you go for it. You do that. And I feel like in this society also, girls who are very sexual are seen as like, oh, you're a slut or you're a whore. We get name calling, all this.
Yeah.
But if a guy does it, it's like, well, you go, dude. You're
The
doing
double standard
Yeah.
is there too. Like, girls can't date like how guys are. Like,
No.
guys date so many females, do so many things, and a female can't be acting that same way because then they're looked at like they're a whore or something.
So what do you guys think of, like, women being on, like, OnlyFans?
Okay, so they are making content to get paid, yes. I honestly, I don't think half of them talk to the people that, like,
Probably
buy
not.
their stuff. But that is different because I feel like you have to be 18 plus to be on OnlyFans, and I think that you're a little older to make that decision for yourself. You're not like 13, 14, you're not
Yeah.
a child. And I don't know. There should just... I'm not saying I'm against it because even if there is or isn't OnlyFans, there's still sex work
Yep.
no matter what. It's going to happen either way, and I think OnlyFans is a safer place for it
Yeah.
because definitely in the real world, sex work is very dangerous.
Very.
Very
Very
dangerous. A lot of
Especially for women.
drugs, trafficking, murders, a lot of bad things happen. So I think OnlyFans, if they do it the right way and they stay safe, then it's fine.
Yeah, I completely agree with that for sure. I don't know too much about OnlyFans. I just know, like, you're allowed to post whatever you want, and then people pay you, or, like, they pay to see you. And if you're okay with showing off your body or showing off whatever you want to show off, then do what you got to do. And some people are probably doing that because they really can't get a job for other places, or they don't have experience, or, like, they just need extra money, like, they have struggles. So in that case, like, yeah, I can support it. It's just, I would hope that they're okay and they're comfortable with what they're doing.
Also, if it's not just for extra money and they just want to share themselves, like,
Then good for
'cause-
you. I wish I had that
right?
confidence,
Like,
man.
you go. So OnlyFans is not only for sexual
sexual-
content.
Yeah, no.
It's for a lot of things. It's again like the whole social media can be a positive thing, pro, because you got a platform and you can spread a message, send a message, share information,
Share.
message. Yeah,
Just have people know you and get paid for it. That's cool.
yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say before, this is a complete sidebar, but like how we were talking about how girls are growing up really fast now.
Yeah.
You remember the brand Justice?
Yes.
I've seen it in Walmart.
It used to be limited too, man.
He's gone.
Like Justice is like not a store anymore, and I literally see it in Walmart. I got so sad the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, am I like really old, or like is everyone
Nah,
just growing up really
it was.
fast?
It used to be named Limited too, and then
Yeah.
it was called Justice.
Justice.
So
And
that's how old we are.
And it's also because there's no like preteen age anymore. Like girls are going from girl to teenager, like
Yeah.
full on teenager. There's no like 13, 14, 12,
In
13,
between.
the in between where you go to Claire's and you go to Justice and get all those very girly clothes. Now it's like you go straight to being a teenager and
They be looking for bras now.
Yeah.
Mad young.
Victoria's Secret.
Victoria's Secret facts. They go from like Claire's to Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
Like that's a jump
Or
right
they
there.
skip Claire's. They're like,
That's
oh,
just good.
Honestly,
too kiddish.
Like, what happened? Like,
No, Children's Place to Victoria's Secret.
please
No,
watch
yeah.
JoJo Siwa. Get some of it back in you. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
care if she's like 19 and she cut her hair ponytail off. JoJo, we still love you. It's
Yeah.
okay. Please just go back. Please.
She has a great spirit about her.
Yeah.
I really like
I
love her
admire
honestly.
JoJo Siwa.
It's
but again, I think it's the pressure of society.
Yeah.
Like all these girls want to be like the women they see on TV or Instagram.
they need to like value their childhood a little more because
Yeah.
trust me, I'm 24 right now and I wish I could go back because I don't want to get any older. Like I definitely don't, and I feel like my childhood was pretty awesome. Like I've had moments obviously where I hated and it was a little hard, but overall like I would love to go back, especially like what we were talking about in our episode 1. If you haven't seen it, please look for it and watch it. In middle school, that was like our favorite time,
Yeah.
like ever. I loved it, and we were only like 11, 12, 13 in that time. But yeah, female empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Personally, I can't even say that I had like a preteen phase because I think I went from like kid to like emo. Middle school was a time. It was a time, and then I went to high school, and I was like, I guess I'm normal now. I don't know. And then
Like you feel like you didn't really have, like you went from kid to like,
I feel like I
Full-grown
didn't have
teenager.
time to really like go through all those different phases and like figure myself out. Like I'm just now like 17, and I'm just now realizing like half these things about myself.
yeah.
That like I wish I would have realized earlier because I would have known like I don't know. I wish I would have known myself better back then.
And you still won't if you're our age.
Yeah.
We're still learning.
It doesn't get any better.
No.
No, it gets better
It gets better, but
eventually.
it's still like a journey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
no, of
still a
course.
journey. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I would want to go back to like being 17 or 16. No, I want to go back to like 11, 12, 13. And I feel like we were outdoors more. Like we were just having more fun outside and stuff
There's so
too.
much more innocence too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much more. Yeah, there's a lot of things I wish I didn't know, man. Like, the world is actually really scary. And
Harsh.
again, like, this whole episode is really about, like, female empowerment and, like, how dangerous it is for females. And I didn't really necessarily realize that until, like, high school and college. Like I said, like, that was my first... I guess it was my first time realizing that I was being, like, sexually harassed. And I could have been sexually harassed earlier than that, but I don't remember that. Thankfully, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's something you want to remember, really.
Like, okay, another place that I'm like for some reason terrified of, how you guys were talking about like walking home alone at night.
Yeah.
The gas station.
Oh.
I don't care if it's 7 like in the morning, okay, before school. There's a gas station literally not even a mile from my house, and that's the way I get to school. I go to the gas station, then I go to school. that gas station is full of like truckers and like
Mm-hmm.
dudes in vans at like 6:50 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go in, get my cheese Danish and my Arizona, and leave. But I walk in, and it's like all eyes are on me, and I feel
Yeah.
very uncomfortable. And like when I get back in my car, I literally open my trunk, I look in the back seat, I even look at my passenger seat. I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I won't see them. Maybe I won't see them on the floor. Maybe they're still there."
Yeah.
And I just get so scared. I'm like, oh, this is so creepy. There's so many like men around, and it, for some reason I don't
course.
know why it like makes me uncomfortable, but I just get scared that like something's gonna happen.
Something so simple like that can
Right.
just be so terrifying. Like, recently I was doing laundry by my house, right around the corner of my house, mind you, and I'm just doing my laundry. I'm almost done. I'm going back home, and this man is walking toward me, and I already see he's already wobbling, and it's like I already had my guard up. I always have my guard up, again, being female. But, like, at this moment, I was just a little more aware. And then I'm walking toward him. He's walking toward me. And I see him do a quick turn, like, almost trying to touch my ass. But I'm really quick, so I was just like, yo, who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you trying to do? And then he calls me a fucking bitch. Like, yeah, I didn't fucking let you touch my ass. Yeah, like, be a bitch. Like, you're not gonna touch me. And then there's two females running toward us, and she asked me if he touched me. I said no, like I was quick enough to, stop him. But he had touched her, so then they ended up beating him up, which is great,
Yeah, love
revenge
that.
for him. I'm not for violence, but he deserved it.
Yeah,
I
love.
And
would have it.
and it was like two females, fucking this guy up. Mind you, one of them had a baby in her arm.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
she was ready to defend her friend or cousin. I don't know the story. But it's
not-
ridiculous.
No, yeah,
Like,
I mean it's
it was in the middle of the day too. It was only like 2:00, 2
Yeah.
p.m. in the middle of the day. Everyone was out and about, and this man really tried to like touch us.
the audacity.
How
Oh,
dare
it was,
he?
like, the middle of the day.
In the middle of the
Yes,
day,
like,
broad
daylight.
daylight. I was doing my damn
I
laundry.
thought this would
Like,
be like
ain't
But
no
that's the
safe
thing.
place.
They
Just
like
in the club.
men do not care. Like they
Yeah.
just do. They do these things, and you're just like,
they
be a human in this world. What is wrong with you?
It's so ridiculous. Like, simply getting gas, simply doing my laundry.
know
I
about
have to
you.
be aware
Yeah.
at all times. Like, I have to carry pepper spray with me all the time. Thankfully, haven't used it, God forbid. But I have to be prepared because the world is so, like, disgusting.
Men are scary. And
Most
I don't know
men.
about you, but like gas stations to me feel manly for some reason.
Yeah.
Like I have a car and I can put gas in my own car, but for some reason I'm like, this feels like a man area.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
should not be here for
feels
that
like
long. And
men.
usually I'm not there for long. I like try to be as quick as possible because I just don't want to stand pumping gas for so long because I don't know who's gonna come up
yeah.
and try to talk to me or do something. So I'm like, let me just be as quick as possible.
And I don't know, like, if it's just in New York, but I feel like New York has gone to shit in the last couple years. Like, it's been a lot more, like, violence, a lot more,
Crime.
like, crime
Yeah.
going on. Just recently, there's a video I watched of this man, a random man. I don't know his story, but he was on the train, maybe on drugs, I don't know. And he sat next to a female, and the woman like was getting up, and he just grabbed her hair and wouldn't let her move. And then that train was packed. There was a lot of people who could have done something,
They didn't.
but everyone's so afraid that maybe he had a gun, maybe he had
Like
a
a
knife,
weapon,
he
yeah.
had some kind of weapon, that they did nothing, and people just recorded this happening. And then this guy wouldn't let the girl go, and he just kind of threw her to the wall, and then he left. And it's like, how are we even letting that happen too?
Yeah, and I feel like as a community, like it's like
Yeah.
in this world, we need to like be better. Women need to be better. Men need to be better. Especially, I feel like I'm sorry, but especially men, because you see a woman getting attacked.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna tell me you don't see your daughter, or you don't see your mom, or you don't see your sister, your
sister,
friend, your cousin, whatever.
Cousin, anybody.
Being in that same position, and you're gonna stand there and not do anything. You're just gonna let it happen because you're afraid. Meanwhile, she's like, I'm not gonna say she's half your size, but she's not as strong as you are. Probably not So you can do something about it. You can help
Yeah.
her. And especially if there's more than one person, like,
Yeah, just jump
team
him,
up,
man.
team up and help each other.
Just
Like,
jump him.
this is why
Again, not
the
for
world is
violence, but
like
some
this.
people deserve it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not even if the woman is helpless, because half the time they will beat the living shit out of somebody if
Yeah.
they need to.
Mhm.
But it's like, at least even if you see it like happening and you don't get there in time, at least make sure she's like okay.
Yeah.
At least check on her.
Afterwards.
Be like, are you like, do you need like help? Do you need someone to talk
Yeah.
to? Do you need like anything?
The woman in the video looked terrified. Like, she looked like
Yeah.
she was just so afraid to do anything, and she was still, like, she wouldn't move. Like, she just let this man, like, do whatever. And again, there's so many people around who
She
did
didn't wanna
nothing.
retaliate.
And-
God forbid.
This was recently after, like, there was like a shooting in a school.
Mhm.
So again, I feel like everyone's head, everyone's thinking, oh, this guy could have a gun. This guy could have any kind of weapon. Like, nobody wants to get involved. But honestly, you have to get involved sometimes.
Mhm.
Like, it's just insane that nobody did nothing.
There was today we were in the city and we're on the train, and I noticed this guy. He's just walking, but he looks a little sketchy because he's like limping and he's walking real fast. But I was like, why is he walking so fast towards us?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a woman standing in front of us, and she had tattoos on her arms, and she was dressed. She looked like she was dressed for work. And he just comes up behind her, and I just noticed his whole head just scan her. He just stands there staring at her, and he just like licks his lips at her.
Ugh.
And then she's still standing there, and he walks around her and goes in front of her and puts his hand like right next to hers on the pole, and is still like staring into her eyes. And I don't know if she noticed, but even I was ready.
I would notice.
I was ready to be like, because
There's a
afterwards,
problem.
after the
Yeah.
doors of the train open, I was like, did y'all fucking see that? Like, did nobody see that?
Nobody.
Like, this fucking creepy dude in the little Amazon Prime vest, just like licking his lip, and then they were walking down the stairs, and he was so close to her. I was about to be like, sir, can you please back up
Yeah.
and let this woman breathe? It's just
Some people are not aware. Like, I don't know if she was on her phone or anything.
and
Was
she had like headphones in. And I was
Oh,
like, I
okay.
wanted to say something. I was
Even
like,
with
"Please."
headphones on, I don't know if most
me-
New Yorkers do this, but for me personally, I'm always aware of everything.
Yeah.
Even if I have headphones on, if I'm looking at my phone, I could just feel a presence around me. If somebody's too close, like, I'm gonna, get uncomfortable and try to move away. Like, even before, the pandemic, like, people weren't supposed to, before the pandemic, it was always packed in New York, trains and subways and everything. But I would still avoid everyone as much as possible. Like, I did not want to be near anyone, also because of germs. But besides that, like, I just didn't feel comfortable. Even if it was a female, too, like, I just like to keep my distance from people. But, like, if a female is getting hurt, and, like, I'm going to do something about it. Like, I'm just
Yeah,
that
no.
type of person.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not gonna sit there and just do nothing. Like, I can't do that. It's like, I have a conscience.
Yeah, no, we were like walking down the stairs, and I was like, I need to watch. He kept going. She walked into the store. I was like, okay, at least
good,
at
we're
least
good.
we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. We can walk away now. But yeah,
So it's crazy. Yeah, that's something we have to look out for, especially being here in New York, too. Like, New York is just not...
anything can happen.
Yeah, it's so bad now. But, yeah. Do you guys have any more to say? Female girl power. That's all I gotta say.
I guess just to close out, like, what would you want from your side, Sam? What would you want to tell girls who are growing up now in this world? And from your side, what would you just want to tell us? Girls our age, women our age, and so on. To anybody, really, any message that you have, like, about what can we do better, or what should we change? I mean, there's a lot, but
There's a lot.
there's a lot of things
For
we
sure,
can
number
change,
one
for
is
sure.
always, like, stick up for other females. Like, whether you know them or not, always try to, stick up for them, because you don't know what's going on in their life, or, like, they can help you out. You might have someone help, like, yourself out if you need it. Like, always just be there for a female
Yeah.
when needed. Never leave your girlfriends alone in a bar
Like,
Buddy
never
system.
let them go home with no man
Buddy
that you don't
system.
know.
Right, but didn't you see what you're doing, right? We are taking preventative measures
Yes.
to avoid all things when it should be the opposite.
Exactly, yes. That's another thing.
And it's like how that saying like girls support girls, and some women are like, oh well, I don't like that bitch, so I don't care
Yeah.
about that. It's not even like, it's not girls love girl. Like, you don't have to love her,
Right.
protect her.
Yeah.
She's still a woman.
Support
She's
her.
still a human being.
Yes.
Like how you were saying earlier, like for men, oh, think about if it's your sister or your cousin or your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as a human being.
Yeah.
Think of it
Yeah.
happening to you, because it could happen to a man.
Exactly.
Anything could
happen
happen
to a
to
man.
anybody.
Exactly.
Sorry. I feel like if men were definitely in our positions, they would feel so uncomfortable.
They would feel just how we feel.
Yeah.
Probably
Completely
worse.
uncomfortable, yeah. I don't know if they know what to do or even like how to respond to that. Or even if they had a day where they can switch with us, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, like I never understood." And they're never going to
Yeah.
understand how it is to be like again,
Yeah,
us.
and if you're a man, please listen to us, the words we say, and don't be an asshole. Period. But don't like be one of those like terrible men who do things to to women. And if you are a man who does have his shit together, you know, keep protecting females. Like if you see a female's getting hurt, be there for her too. Like, you know, support everybody.
Yeah, just and even if you know a woman or a man or a person, if you know anybody who's going through that stuff, definitely ask them if they need help and give them the resources, because sometimes they can't do it for themselves. Because
Yeah.
either they don't know that it happened to them, or they don't know where to go and they don't know what to do because they're just so scared
Yeah.
of what could possibly happen next.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if something does happen, you know, try to speak up, whether you're afraid or not. I promise you there will be someone there to help you at the end.
yeah, and to listen to what
And
you
to
have
listen. Exactly.
to say.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for joining
Thank
this
you.
conversation.
Mhm. Please
And-
come back for the next episode.
Yes, and if of course we were a little like zigzaggy with this, but we just have so much to share with
We're
everybody.
very passionate about
Very
this.
passionate about this.
So our thoughts are all over the place.
They're all over the place, but if you listen this far, thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Sam, for joining us.
Yes.
More girl power. Love it.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.